Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh, yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. I am sorry I am a few minutes late. I was definitely running behind this morning. We did our 72 hours of productivity, and I failed starting basically yesterday afternoon because I didn't have enough... because I was going out to dinner last night and then I came back in for the productivity stream, so I got messed up. So I'm trying to reset, and then we will do that again. We will try to continue, do a reset probably today, and then do another 72 hours probably starting tomorrow. Maybe that's a good way to go. Maybe 72 hours and then 24-hour break, even though you guys still maintain discipline, but maybe break and then reset and then go 72 hours again. So I am here now. Micah is here. Good morning. And Zero the Blade is here. And so is Draco. Good morning. It is so good to see everybody. So we are back to a world building Wednesday today. It's hard to believe, man, these weeks are just flying by. I don't even know. I feel like days are going by and stuff is just not getting done. But all right, so here we're back on World Building Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about building Rabivania, and specifically, we're going to be looking at the Gazetteer today. Now, I don't have maps yet. Maps haven't been made, but I do have the locations down. Hey, George. Good to see you, George. So we're going to be taking a look at that and then also putting them into World Anvil. And so let's go ahead and get started here with the morning messages, and which is brought to you, World Building Wednesday is brought to you by World Anvil, and I really appreciate them. I was going to use World Anvil before they even decided to sponsor World Building Wednesdays. But if you are, there's a code, Morning Grind. Morning Grind gets you 40% off a subscription to an annual subscription to World Anvil. And they agreed to kind of to sponsor for the first 3 months. So I bet they're going to be looking at, this is the third month here. So as this month goes, I'm sure they're going to be checking out to see if the Morning Grind has brought in anybody for them to see whether or not they should continue doing this. So if you, I know there are people who are thinking about starting World Anvil or thinking about learning World Anvil. So now would be a great time to go ahead and get that. And then they know that what we're doing over here is interesting and useful to them. So let's do the messages, and then we will get to world building. The Morning Grind is also brought to you by the Cool Name RPG. Cool Name is being built from the ground up and doesn't rely on 5e mechanics. Support its development now on Kickstarter. The Morning Grind is also brought to you by World Anvil. Check out the World Anvil website to learn more about everything that it can do for you and your world building and your games, and also be sure to use the code MORNINGGRIND to get 40% off any annual World Anvil subscription. I knew World Anvil was great for game masters and for writers who are developing their worlds and want a beautiful site to display and manage all of that information. But what I didn't know is that World Anvil also offers extensive tools for players, including character sheets, journals, inventory management, and spell books, basically all the digital tools a player who is looking to immerse themselves in their character would need. We're going to be using World Anvil here on the Morning Grind to build out the worlds of Rabivania and Theophany, so we'll get to see it in action here as we go on the show. Alright, that's it for the messages. Let's get to the main topic. Okay, also, I was just checking over while that was going, the Cool Name RPG. So I know that some people were listening to Mark Tassin last night. Was that last night that he did another design blog? He's a friend of this channel. You've probably seen him interviewed on Table Talk, but Mechanical Muse is his company, Mechanical Muse, and he has a Mechanical Muse YouTube channel, and I was just checking out. Oh, if you go over to live, yes. Oh, I need to watch this. He's got another design blog. I have really been enjoying these. If you're liking, if you like how to build RPGs, which is definitely something we talk about here on the channel as well. Although I got to get back to Faded Edge. We've taken a break from that in order to do other things, but we're building one over here. I highly recommend that you take a look at the Mechanical Muse. I'm going to put the Mechanical Muse YouTube channel. And this is actually a direct link to his latest design blog. So that was posted yesterday. I'm going to turn that on today. Hey, Zero Theory. Good morning with coffee. So that's there. And then let's say he only has 59 more hours to go on the Cool Name RPG Kickstarter. I'll put that in the chat as well. So, and he's closing in on $20,000. So that's great. This has been really successful. The Cool Name RPG, that's the placeholder name if you are new here and are trying to know what's going on here. Good morning, Jason. Good morning. The Cool Name RPG is being developed by Mark Tassin of Mechanical Muse, and it is not 5e. So we got Black Flag, which is 5e, done by Kobold Press, and then an alternative if we're looking for a community-owned RPG that is not based on 5e, but is completely being built from the ground up. That is the Cool Name RPG Kickstarter. So that's what that is. I'm very interested in seeing how that goes. I want to follow both of them, Black Flag and Cool Name. All right, so we are talking about the Tales of Rabivania today. Oh, we need to breathe and sip. Let's start by breathing and sip. Got your drink with you? Let's breathe and sip here. So let's two breaths, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage. Somebody was asking if they could do a shot. Yeah, sure, you can do a shot. But shot of espresso, or hey, shot of something else, whatever is your favorite beverage. Let's go. Breathe with me. Breathe with me. It'll make you feel better. There we go. Zero the Blade says they might help me with my Kickstarter. Oh, really? Have you reached out to them? That is with my not Kickstarter, but Tabletop RPG. That's great. He's a great guy. Okay, so let's bring up my World Primer. This is the Tales of Rabivania World Primer. So I have been working in the mornings on the on the script for the movie. You know, I had been working on the beat sheet for the movie, trying to get that nailed down. It's going to become a movie script and then also a novel. I'm going to write it as well. But I've been working with somebody who was helping me out with the beat sheet, which is the complete structure of the story. Finally got that down, and so I have been working in the mornings on the script, and I've really been enjoying that. It's really been going well. I'm still very early in that process, but it is great to actually finally be working on that. So I did finish the World Primer text over here. Now I've still got to go back and put in the rules, which I started to work with, but I haven't quite gotten to work with that in detail. Got so many projects going on, bouncing back and forth. That's just the way things are. But we haven't gotten all the way through the primer yet. And last time we had talked about knights. We had basically talked about knights and nobles. I've got this chapter 3 on knights and nobles, which discussed the High King, which discussed the nobility, which discussed the archbarons, which is one of our ranks, the nobility, the highest, the baronage. We also talked about the marcher lords, which are the lords on the edge of Rabivania. And then we talked about the order of chivalry and what it means to be a knight in Rabivania. So we did that last time. Now we can head over to the Gazetteer, which is chapter 5, which I want to give you some adventuring locations. Zero Theory says, did I design unique classes for this game? So, whoa, what is that noise? Oh, that was Mark's design journal that all of a sudden decided to start playing. So, did you design unique classes for this game? Yes. For the 5th edition, I figure that what we need is 5th edition rules, and then also now I can't find my document. Here we go. Because I figure we need 5th edition rules, and I figure we also need Pathfinder rules. I figure I need to do both of those first. Then we can do the Fated Edge RPG and then put Fated Edge into this as well. So I figured that there would be 4 classes in the Gazetteer, which are Knight, not 4 classes in the Gazetteer. Man, this morning, I told you, I'm starting late and I am still not operating on all cylinders. So I do have classes and professions in here. I've got Knight, I've got Druid, I've got Witch, and I've got Damsel of the Blood Royal. So those are classes or professions, whatever they need to be called for any particular game system. 5th edition, they can be classes. So I figure, I'm trying to start with something rather light here. This is only 10,000 words. So you've got one species, which is like your race, but it makes more sense for them to be called species in here. So you're playing a rabbit, and then you've got 4 different classes to choose from: Knight, Druid, Witch, and Damsel of the Blood Royal. Now, so I figure I'll put in the stats for those for 5th edition or for Pathfinder. But eventually, I would like to have a more sophisticated system, even if you're going to be playing a level-based or class-based system, because so much of the main storyline that I want to write has to do with growing up. Like, does it make sense? I would like for you to be able to have that option as well, because here we have with Knight, it's kind of this, it's kind of the same problem I have with something like a Paladin, but Knight the same way. Like, does it make sense? Depends on the philosophy and the structure of your game, but does it make sense for there to be a first level Knight? Would you ever be a first level Knight? Maybe the answer is no. In fact, I would kind of like it if the answer were no. Now, I figure that for the purposes of this document, what I'll do is I'll just put in a Knight, Druid, Witch, and Damsel of the Blood Royal class and not really worry about it. But because this is only a 10,000 word primer anyway, it's intended to be short. Introduce you to the world. But thinking beyond that, it probably makes more sense if you've got some kind of minimum threshold of ability that you've got to have in order to be a knight anyway. And so I would be thinking, like, maybe just as a possibility, that you're not even eligible for knighthood until you reach, let's say, 3rd level. So maybe a knight would have to be a minimum of 3rd or 4th level. because you'd have some other class. Like that could just be a general fighter class or something. What are you when you're a squire? You should go adventuring when you're a squire. I'm going to have in the story lots of adventuring happening when the characters are squires. So if you're still trying to learn, then maybe you should be some type of first level fighter. And basically your job while you're a squire is to get from first level to third level. And then you have enough skill and talent or skill, develop skills and all of that and experience to actually become a knight. And then you're eligible for dubbing. And then you start taking the knight class instead of your fighter class. But not everybody has to go and become a knight, because there are other soldiers. There are the watch rabbits and things like that may go down another path. But then it seems like you need to meet some kind of minimum threshold, because otherwise you're not even qualified to be a knight. And then you can start going off on the knight path. And I think it would be neat if I could do that for several of them. I mean, Druid also seems kind of the same kind of way. Now, Druid might be a bit more linear because, but what should you be doing as you're trying to learn in order to qualify to be a Druid? That could be the same kind of thing. Witch, I was having a bit more difficulty coming up with some way that you have a witch in apprenticeship, but it could work. And then Damsel of the Blood Royal. This one might be a little bit different, but I would like to come up with some way to do that. Vladimir Dietrov says, what's the text editor, Obsidian or something else? It is Scrivener. It's Scrivener. Yeah, Zero Theory says that it could be the class is called Knight, but until 5th level, you're a squire. I mean, it could be. I guess you could simplify something like that. But see, the thing with doing something like that, I don't have a problem. In fact, I prefer it if you were able to start at a lower level. But at the same time, if you just want to start off playing a knight, or if the game master is going to be doing a game where, I need everybody to be at knight level, it should be easy to make a character just as a knight. Vladimir says, could be squire and then after 5th level knight and then 10th level. Well, not everybody goes on to be a paladin. I mean, not everyone wants to be a paladin. So I wouldn't want that progression to be there. Although there are paladins, but that would be another thing. You got to be a knight in order to be a paladin. But then you can go on and become a high level knight without trying to going on and being a paladin. Original AD&D was like that. You had your general class, fighter or magic user, and then each level you got a title. So knight is in a way a prestige class. Kind of. I guess if it were 3rd edition, you could do it that way. You've got certain prerequisites that you've got to have. Yeah, I guess in 3rd edition, I guess I would run it like that. I guess in 3rd edition, I would. And I like that. So that would give you fewer. I can see a system where you have fewer starting classes. Now, again, I would want you to be able to make a character for like a one-shot or just starting an adventure at a much higher level. Because if you want to just start off playing a knight or a paladin, okay, start off playing a knight or a paladin if that's fitting what the game master is trying to do. But if you had much fewer starting classes and you had to meet some type of minimum threshold, and then you got a wider range of classes at the next level, I think that would be that. I think that would be a neat way to do it. Squire could be, the fighter that's learning the trade. John says, 1st edition Unearthed Arcana had the Cavalier class, essentially a knight. Start with negative 1,500 XP, and until you get to 0 XP, you are level 0. I don't know that one. I remember the Cavalier class. There was they called them kits. They called them kits in AD&D. I remember Cavalier from the Complete Fighter's Handbook. I got it back there. I want to look at it because I played one. I played an Iosomar fighter who was a Cavalier. That was one of my favorite characters, actually. See, I need to look in how Pathfinder does this too, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of time to get into it very deep in this world primer. But it would be nice if it at least potentially carried on, so that the rules in this don't contradict something that is more expansive. Because Pathfinder kind of does this with archetypes, but I would love some sort of RPG that models actually growing up in that way. Warhammer Fantasy RPG kind of does that, but is a very specific flavor. Warhammer Fantasy does have a whole bunch of classes, and they call them professions, right? They call them professions, right? And there is some kind of chain. I should probably take a look at that. I've got that back here as well. I did look at Warhammer Fantasy role-playing on the channel not too long. Well, no, I guess it actually has been a while. It's been, I think, before I started consistently live streaming. So I did go through and take a look at Warhammer, and there is a lot of professions on there. I remember there being some things I liked about that, and also the combat system. It seemed interesting. Sable Phoenix says, magic user at the first level was called a medium, then a seer, then a conjurer, I think, and went from there. Unfortunately, the titles were mostly just a list of synonyms. Yeah. And especially if you've got, yes, certain things that mean things, like seer, I'm actually planning on having. Because you don't, that's a certain type of witch. Not all the witches are seers. So I'll have to think about that. Because some of these have much more formal structures to be inducted into, and some of them don't. Yeah, Sable Phoenix says the titles didn't have any real relation to what you actually did. So that's what I'm thinking about. I was actually trying to come up with, did I start a night? No, I didn't start the night. I did kind of start thinking of what the 5e stats for a rabbit would be. Because I was looking at different things that have used bipedal rabbits and things, but I'm not quite there yet. That's still preliminary. But what we're doing with this world primer is going by what Wolfgang Bauer said was important to have in a campaign guide. This is just a campaign guide in miniature. It's the world primer. But he said it was important to have the people, which is basically the player characters, basically have what your players can play. So that's why this chapter up here is player characters. And that goes over the species. So we just have room for one species. And then we have the classes and professions. So that takes care of what the players can play. And then he said you also need to go over magic. So I have a section on religion and magic for everyone. And then I do have the political situation with knights and nobles. But then the third thing that Wolfgang said is to have the gazetteer, which is the places to go adventuring, and make sure each one of them is something interesting, some interesting reason to go adventuring there. So we're going to get into the gazetteer. I see some more comments coming in, though. Zero the Blade says, I think a job class system like that might be easier with a primary and secondary job classes. I've thought about that, and I don't want, well, for Fated Edge, I don't want the system to get too complex, but I was thinking about a primary and a secondary kind of thing that you did. So I have thought about that. The Dark Eye has archetype races, but works also have their professions. Dragon Age have 3 main classes: fighter, magic, rogue, and then as you grow up, you take the paths, which is a great way for a faster start and characters that still don't know where their characters to go. Okay, so something like that too. I like the branching kind of structure. You know, that's what Lineage 2 has as well. I don't want to completely rewrite. Like if I'm doing it for 5th edition, I don't want to completely rewrite it. I can get more sophisticated when we're doing Fated Edge, but if there's some way that I can do it, then we will see. Okay, so this is the Gazetteer. And these are the places to adventure. Chapter 5, Gazetteer. I only have a limited amount of space to put in a limited number of locations. So these are the locations I chose. So we can see what you think. Rabivania is a vast land of flowing rivers, dark forests, bubbling streams, broad lakes, and rugged mountains. Politically, Rabivania is composed of a multitude of baronies, earldoms, and even petty kingdoms powerful lords have established for themselves. Adventurers will visit sacred sites of standing stones and busy warrens teeming with rabbits. Some of these warrens were but recently established on the borders of the realm, while others are so ancient that their founding has been lost to time. But danger could be behind any tree or rock. Weasel bandits are known to assault travelers, and beyond the marches, raccoon warriors muster. So, the first place I've got here, oh, look, I'm supposed to put in some names here. So I'm not completely done with this because I haven't, oh, so I can't put, this one into World Anvil quite yet because I've got to think of some different names here for things. And that's because actually Beaconsdale here is important in the first story. So I haven't come up with the names in the story yet. So once I come up with those, I need to put them back here in Beaconsdale. But Beaconsdale is a small northern village at an important but remote crossroads. Travelers to and from Elmhearth, as well as the earldom of Place, so I've got this another earldom that I've got to put in for the story, frequently stop at Beaconsdale on their way to the interior of the kingdom. Many of the villagers are eager to provide hospitality to travelers in exchange for a bit of news from other parts of the kingdom. The village is known for its alehouse or aleborough. I'm thinking that it needs to be aleborough because I was thinking about different kinds of words that I want to change out because it makes sense for the rabbits to have a burrow hold rather than a household. Now, they probably do live in houses. They dig a lot of their, when you go to their cities, a lot of it is the underground warren. So a lot of rabbits live underground in the warren, in the burrows they build. But they're not strangers to houses because they also build surface structures. But could use the term aleborough here. The village is known for its alehouse or aleborough, the Rabbit's Rest, which can also provide room and board for travelers. Name, I've got to name her. The local druid has a cottage at the edge of the village. Villagers often seek her out for herbal remedies as well as advice about the spirits of nature and resolving drama around the town. She regularly attends to the trees and other shrubs outside the village that she considers sacred. However, all is not well in Beaconsdale. First, a number of snakes have swum downstream and taken up residence uncomfortably close to the village. Several mice children have been eaten while playing on its outskirts. Moreover, the family which had run the Rabbit's Rest for several generations fell on hard times and were run out of their family business by Garnick. So I do have some names. A rat. With the help of some hench weasels, he has taken over its operations and started to muscle into many of the other activities of the town. It seems there is seldom something going on he does not know about or try to work. I must not have finished this one because I didn't have all the names. Or try to work to his advantage to make a few quick coins. Good morning, James. Good morning. Oh, Sable Phoenix. We haven't looked at Dragon Age here. Maybe Dragon Age is one that we should also look at. I was seeing a comment on the Dark Sun video today that we should also take a look at Planescape. So you're a fan of Planescape, aren't you, Sable Phoenix? Maybe we should, when we finish Dark Sun, we should take a look at Planescape as well. Okay, so I do have a few more things to put into this one with some names. But then, okay, Callanmere. Callanmere. It was on the bank of this lake that the bloody Battle of Callanmere was fought. In the aftermath of the battle, the first Magus of the Mist appeared and dubbed the first 13 Rabivanian knights. Later, Aidan the Bear was inducted into the Mirite faith in its waters and then crowned the first High King of Rabivania. Although the Mother of the Mere can appear in any lake, pond, or stream, Callanmere is regarded as her home and thus the holiest site in Merism. Many rabbits will take a pilgrimage to the lake with the hope of having a vision of the mother or to be healed of ailments and infirmities. One of the largest and most ornate lochs in Rabivania is built on the shores of the Mere. Extensive paintings and sculptures depict the major religious events at the lakes. This loch is the official seat of the matriarch of Callanmere, the first among equals of the 4 matriarchs. Those who come to Callanmere for spiritual absolution will also find plenty of ne'er-do-wells around the lake looking to take advantage of gullible pilgrims, whether that's through the sale of fake relics or just simply cutting a purse. Another vote for Planescape here. The Planescape Torment is the best computer RPG ever made. So that's a big influence. Oh, they're difficult to get a hold of. Well, maybe we do have to go to Planescape then. Komodi Bear says, I clicked on the link and the first thing I hear is Planescape. I remember opening that box for the first time. The artwork blew me away. Among the very first D&D art ever, very best D&D art ever produced. Well, now I'm curious. Planescape and Dark Sun, Spelljammer top 3 in my opinion, but not old Spelljammer. Yeah, I got the AD&D blue Spelljammer book. We're gonna look at that one. I've never been spelljamming, so I got the AD&D Spelljammer book. We'll take a look at the more classic Spelljammer. So that is Callan Mir, and then Camerlan Tor. Clovis and his band traveled until they came to the hill now called Camerlan Tor. It was thought that there, the veil between this world and the other world, the land called Tir Duin, was at its thinnest. From Krieg and the Caproctony, as written by the anchorite of Willow Grove Locht. Camerlan Tor. Camerlan Tor is one of the most sacred places in Rabivania, with deep connections to Druidism and witchcraft. According to Druidic lore, it was here that Clovis founded the first Druidic circle. The construction of the standing stones that ring the hill is also traditionally attributed to Clovis. Druids regularly perform rituals at the Tor, and there are even Druids in residence who maintain the stones and officiate rites, though Druids from around the realm come to conduct their own rituals at this major source of power and join others in rituals performed on the holy days of the Druidic calendar. Camerlan Tor is also an especially holy site for the witches because, according to myth, it was here that the Morrigan and the witch sisters of her court arrived in Rabivania. However, today, because the Tor is so close to Cloven Call, a major power center of the Mirite clerics, witches have to be especially secretive with their worship. There is also a cavern system beneath Camerlan Tor, which is associated with a variety of mystical traditions, perhaps most significantly a sect dedicated to the mysteries of Krieg, an ancient warrior mystery religion centered on Krieg, the son of Clovis. Those who keep the Clovician traditions regard Krieg as a god of war. While a rabbit to be crowned High King is more inclined to follow the traditions of the When a rabbit to be crowned High King is more inclined to follow the traditions of Clovis and Druidism rather than Mirism and the Mother of the Mir, he will take the title Vortigern and is crowned by the Grand Druid at Camerlan Tor. But because of the preeminence of Mirism, there has not been a High King coronated at Camerlan Tor in some time. I love Vortigern. Now, that could be a person, but from the Arthurian tradition, but I read someplace that some people had thought that could be a title, and I just loved that so much. I was like, all right, I'm going to use that as a title in Rabivania. So the High King, the more pagan kind of Clovician and Druidic name for the High King title is Vortigern. Brent Fenstead says, good morning, all. Really enjoying Rabivanian world building, but the second Ed AD&D reviews take me back to high school. Me too. Right, exactly. I'm going with it as a title, though. Cloven Call. In later days, Clovis built the great hall of the Warren of Cloven Call and used Anorda's bones as its foundation. From the tale of Clovis and Anorda, as written by the anchorite of Willow Grove Locht. Cloven Call. Cloven Call is the largest warren in Rabivania, and according to myth, the warren Clovis called home. It has been occupied since time immemorial, with burrows deeply delved and houses, shops, and other structures built nearly one on top of another on the surface. A series of concentric walls has been constructed over many years as the warren has grown and expanded outwards. Cloven Call is the historic seat of the High King of Rabivania. The Great Hall of Cloven Call holds the royal throne and is, according to the stories, the very hall Clovis built upon the bones of Anorda after she was slain. Cloven Call is also home to several of the most prestigious institutions in the kingdom, including the University of Cloven Call, known for its education in logic and rhetoric, among other subjects, and the Rabivanian College of Heralds. It trains new heralds and maintains the roll of arms, where all the coats of arms granted by the king are registered. The Great Locht is also located in Cloven Call. The matriarch of Callan Mir often prefers to remain here as the center of Rabivanian political power rather than Callan Mir, the spiritual center of the kingdom. One of the only areas within Cloven Call that is not packed with either burrows or structures is Battle Hill, the place where Clovis fought Norda and later did battle with the raccoon warlord Fearg. The hill is now used for duels, both judicial and private. Unusually, the warren at Cloven Call and the countryside around it has the status of a Rabivanian duchy, although there is no Duke of Cloven Call. Instead, when a High King sits the throne, he governs Cloven Call directly. The Duchy of Cloven Call provides the king a source of income as well as an army, although the High King seldom lacks a large body of errant knights who flock to his standard to prove their worth in a royal battle when he goes to war. Cloven Call provides a large body of knights who are in personal fealty to the king and are at his disposal. George says, oh no, high school, to be able to remember that, memory fades with age. Sable Phoenix, yeah, talking about Vortigern. He's become a semi-mythical figure like many of the historical personages that are tied to that era and the start of the Arthurian myth. Yes. And I think it's a really cool name. Obviously, there's the Arthurian influence in Rabivania in a number of different ways. So that is Cloven Call, the capital. And then Elmhearth. And Elmhearth, see, we watched Goodnight Sword last time, which is the first book and first kind of animation that we've got in the Tales of Rabivania. And so Elmhearth is that castle that is underneath that tree on that ledge. So we looked at it extensively last time. So here is its write-up. Elmhearth. Elmhearth is the primary warren of an important march in Rabivania held by Baron Sir Howell. It's built beneath an elm tree of unusually large size that grows alone on a craggy outcropping overlooking a lush valley with a broad lake. The warren is dug around the roots of a great tree. The Great Hall and many burrows within the warren have windows or balconies providing a view of the valley beneath. We talked about that, how the Great Hall, you go underground when you go through one door. When you go to the other side, you're looking at windows that go out over the valley. Elmhearth is fortified by thick walls and a strong gatehouse. Shops and stalls line the interior of the walls. Elmhearth has two main taverns, the Elm and Ale and the Bawdy Bumpkin. The Elm and Ale is a higher class establishment often frequented by knights. The Bawdy Bumpkin can be a bit more rowdy and is frequented by the squires and rabbits at arms when they want time for themselves after a long day of training. The Baron of Elmhearth is responsible for defending the border against raccoon tribes. Fortunately, much of the border is mountainous, and those passes that do exist have castles to protect them. The knights and squires of Elmhearth are on rotation, serving as castle guard to the remote outposts. A series of tunnels snake through the mountains and connect some of the castles. Some of these have been deliberately constructed, but a lot of them follow an extensive network of natural caverns. While beautiful to explore, one must be careful not to lose the way. Elmhearth is renowned for the quality of its knights. It seems to be a bulwark of chivalry and the Mirite faith in a kingdom where some have become a bit too lax in their practices. However, being on the edge of the kingdom, the traditions of older ways are still felt, especially away from Elmhearth Castle itself. Witches operate in the mountains and visit the warriors serving castle guard. Some even have cross-border contact with the raccoons. Oh, George says, when I was in high school, the first edition books were being published. So the second edition AD&D books were coming out when I was in high school. Zero Theory says, are your species like flop-eared, jackrabbit, and snowshoe? I want to include things like the jackrabbits and snowshoe rabbits and things like that. So I want to incorporate that into the story. Right now, for the species according to the book, I'm just having one rabbit species. This book right here for the World Primer. But I want to be able to incorporate different species or subspecies of rabbits. And also I want you to encounter them in the stories. Now, I used to make a major distinction between flop-eared rabbits, like a long time ago when I was writing this. I used to make a major distinction between flop-eared rabbits and long-eared rabbits, and they were two different countries. But I'm not doing that now because I think rabbits tend to, put their ears up or lay them back or things like that. So doesn't seem to be such a major species distinction between just moving your ears. And I think during illustrations and then also with any type of animation, I want their ears to be really expressive. So I want the ability to bring their ears up or lay their ears down, or one up or one down, or listen to things like that. I think the ability, you'd want them to be able to have very expressive ears. Okay, so we got the Old Forest and Willow Grove. So let's, as the other two locations that I'm going to have in this world primer. So here we've got the Old Forest. It's adventure you want, the wizened hag asked, seemingly amused. Then go to the Old Forest and venture in at whatever point seems darkest and most dangerous to you. But be warned, many wish they never face what it is they find. From the tale of Aidan the Bear and his noble knights, the anchorite of Willow Grove Locked. So the Old Forest. The Old Forest is a dark and sprawling forest that stretches over vast swaths of Rabivania. Only druids regularly travel the Old Forest, as part of the druidic education for those near it is to learn its ways and the routes from one place to another, as there are few paths that are seldom trodden. But there are several druidic holy sites within the forest, including the oldest and tallest tree in Rabivania. Here, the druids can gather away from the prying eyes and ears of others. Most other rabbits stay away from the Old Forest. It's a favorite adventuring location for errant knights. No one who wanders the Old Forest seeking adventure fails to find it, most of the time because adventure finds them. But the way is very dangerous, and many rabbits who enter the Old Forest never come back out at all. Perhaps they are slain by monstrous beasts, lose their way and never find it again, or perhaps the call of the forest is too strong and they voluntarily give their souls over to it, never to leave again. Let's see. Okay, we got it. So Sable Phoenix, as there are few paths. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That does need to be restructured. Thank you, Sable. Sable says, as there are few paths that are seldom trodden. Sounds like it's heavily traveled and well explored. Yep. Yep. There are few paths. That's exactly what it needs to be. There are few paths. What's the whole sentence? Only druids regularly travel the Old Forest, as part of the druidic education for those near it is to learn its ways and the routes from one place to another. As there are few paths. Oh, and they are seldom trodden. As there are few paths through the forest, and those, as there are few, as there are about only a few seldom trodden paths through the forest. Is that better? Learn its ways and the routes from one path to another, as there are only a few seldom trodden paths through the forest. And there are few paths there and seldom trodden. Let's see. I kind of like that. Few paths through the forest, and they are seldom trodden. Does that work better? Let's see. That whole sentence would then be, only druids regularly travel the Old Forest, as part of the druidic education for those near it is to learn its ways and the routes from one place to another, as there are only a few paths through the forest, and they are seldom trodden. That seems to make better sense. While we are editing, okay, James recommends an M dash after one place to another. Let's see here. There, as there are few paths to the forest, and they are seldom trodden. Thank you for helping out with this sentence. Okay, so that is the Old Forest. So the final location is Willow Grove here. And Willow Grove. The village of Willow Grove is on the outskirts of Rabivania. Rabbits, mice, and squirrels dwell in this particularly scenic and peaceful location. Willow Grove is known for the beauty of its locht, situated near a bubbling brook. Some rabbits who listen to the running water claim to hear the voice of the mother within. The loft itself houses several anchorites who have given themselves to the consecrated life and are living in quiet retirement. But Willow Grove Loft is also known for housing a few, but significant relics. A door in the back of the loft leads to a separate chapel where its relics are displayed. These include the bones of Saint Bromide, famous for his truth-telling, and the dress worn by a water-whispering maiden who was particularly good at hearing the will of the mother in the sound of streams. But it's rumored there is also a secret passage within the relic chapel that leads down under the loft, where a chamber, now partially flooded with the brook's changing course, reveals the location of a powerful artifact from the most ancient days of Rabivania, or perhaps it might even contain the artifact itself. So that is, with the exception of some additional names that need to be put in here in Beaconsdale as I work on the script, that is the Gazetteer. So that gets you also some adventuring locations in Rabivania. Which are instead of they are? Which one was that? Oh, up here. Which are, that's probably better. As there are only a few paths through the forest which are seldom trodden. Yeah, it's not exactly bromide. So, all right. So let's see. How are we doing on time? Oh yeah, we got plenty of time because we also started a bit late, so there's still time. So, all right. So let's go over to. I'm going to bring up World Anvil, and I'm going to stick this text in, which I still have to work with the World Anvil. But now that we've got this text, I won't put in Beaconsdale. The goal here. Oh, look, let me take this down. Bring up the screen sharing here. This message just popped up as I was in World Anvil. So it says voting time is here. So we know something's going on over here with World Anvil. Check out the best of World Anvil and cast your vote to decide who are the ultimate world builders this year. Get inspired and put your name in the list of community judges. So there's an opportunity if you are part of World Anvil or you have a World Anvil account to judge what's been going on as far as world building on World Anvil goes. So that's going on. This week on World Builder, World Anvil, upcoming World Building Con, 18th through 19th. Friday night writes, Friday night writing scripts and prompts, mood tone. So okay, there's stuff going on with the community. World Anvil has an incredibly active and large Discord server. World Anvil is a website. So here, let's go over here to www.worldanvil.com. World Anvil right here. Now, what I'm going to do is give all of the channel members access to the world primer on World Anvil. Eventually, I'm going to lay it out in PDF, and I want to do some print on demand stuff because I'm moving mainly toward print on demand with the kind of new direction that I'm going. So there'll be digital stuff and then there will be print on demand. But I want this nice hyperlinked site for the Tales of Rabivania that's being built out with World Anvil here. And I've been making right now it's all private. But then once I get it going and I need to work on the front page a little bit more, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give all the channel members here on the channel access to the World Anvil page, and I'll do the same thing for Theophany, which we will do next, and whatever else we build out. I don't know if we'll do more than 2 World Anvils, but I want to do a World Anvil for Rabivania and for Theophany, even if I do some other writing and stuff. So that will be a advantage to being part of the channel. And I do want to do another members only stream. I'd like to start doing those weekly, but I got to come up with the time to do that this week. Okay, so here we are. So we're inside World Anvil now. I'm going over here to dashboard. I had already created some of the, oh no, I need to go over here to articles. So the structure of our book, I was trying to replicate the structure of the book on the World Anvil page. So here I am at the category Gazetteer, and then here are our entries which don't have text in them yet. So let's see. My first text, I'm going to skip Beaconsdale because it's not done yet. I don't want to have that. So Callan Mere, though, is Callan Mere right here. Edit article. There we go for now. Save changes. Camerland Tour. Camerland Tour. I'm going to work with all my formatting later. For the most part, but this needs to slide over there, and that is centered. There we go. Save changes. Next up, Cloven Call. We have to just set aside time to come in here and really get the World Anvil looking nice. I want to put in art for it, but we'll talk about art here in just a second. I really liked the look of the rabbit that I put as the thumbnail for this stream. I think he looks really good, except for his armor. The generators like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion don't understand armor very well. And so I think I'm going to have to train some type of special model or something like that in order to get that looking right. So to Cloven Call. Did I just do Cloven Call? Cloven Call. Nope, here we go. Save that. Elmhearth. Save that. The Old Forest. Whoop. There we go. The Old Forest. I'm getting increasingly proud of this. I'm looking forward to going on and doing Theophany, which is the one that tells the story of the fall of Lucifer. But because I've been working on Rabivania for a long time because story writing hasn't gone well. But I'm looking forward to completing this. I'm really proud of it. And then Willow Grove right here. All right. And then I'll put in Beaconsdale when I'm finished with it. But there we go. Save changes. So this should give us a count. I wrote 10,000 words of lore for the Tales of Rabivania over here in this book. So that doesn't necessarily mean that all 10,000 words are going to come over here, but it should be pretty close. So Tales of Rabivania right now, it says that there are 7,381 words of a 10,000 word goal now inside the World Anvil. Now, I haven't made it public yet. Like I said, I've still got to work on the World Anvil itself. But hey, just because you have World Anvil doesn't mean that you develop the world, because you still got to write it. All right. So that's why I've been writing over here. And then once an article's done, it goes over to the World Anvil. So there are currently, I'm proud of that, 7,381 words loaded in to World Anvil about Rabivania. Now, it needs to be beautified, because I think it'd be able to make an absolutely beautiful website for this. All this information, hyperlinked and stuff like that. But that is that. Okay, let's see what's going on over here. Is it Markdown compatible too? Right, that's a solid plus. That is a good question. I want to say yes, but let me check. World Anvil Markdown. I see something about Markdown versus BB code. Here, let me put this back up. So I was just was looking at this. So, but I'm not sure when the date on this is. They're talking about putting in. I wish this were dated because you can put in feature requests too. So somebody was talking about which one they want. Let me see what's. Somebody's talking about World Anvil here, about Markdown here, importing Markdown. So it kind of looks like it. It kind of looks like it. I haven't used it yet. I need to look at my formatting because I know you can go into a formatting editor. In fact, here, let's look at one other thing. So let's go over here since you asked. I'm kind of curious. So let's just go to one of our I don't want quick edit. I just want to edit. Okay, so let's go over here to edit. And I know we've got a place over here to view source. So that looks like it's using HTML here. But you might be able to put Markdown in here. So we do have this part of the editor. So I don't know. I'll have to check on that. But there's feature requests all the time that are going in. Oh, okay. So Vladimir has the answer. To use Markdown in World Anvil, you simply need to type the Markdown syntax into the text editor, and the platform will automatically convert to formatted text. Okay, well, there we go. Thank you very much. Vladimir knows. Okay, so where am I going from here? As you may know, if you've been following some other things, I have been really trying to experiment with how to tell a story or to create this world through some of the tools that are being recently become available on the AI scene and things like that. And so one of the things that I have been doing as a test is trying to put out information in short format. And we talked about having short stuff. Vision says creating a World Anvil account, not safe for work mode. I don't like censorship, but I'm not a simp either. There's a not safe for work mode in World Anvil. Like I think I could mark. Like, can't you mark certain articles like 18 plus or something like that, or put a tag or something like that on there? But anyway, so I was working on that. And so one of the things that I've done as a test was I have gone over to, I've created, and I put this in the Discord server as well. Oh, I should put the Discord link in the chat. If you are not part of a Discord server. Please join the Discord server if you'd like. I have a place for what I'm calling the Black Ciphers. The Black Cipher is a test. It's been a lot of fun, but I've been using it as a test. So if you go over here, www.youtube.com, looking up, look, I'm live, the Black Cipher channel. I created the Black Cipher. And I've got another short that comes out today. So right now it's just a short channel. So for instance, this one right here just posted yesterday. So I've been
5-year-old son told me that aliens had stolen my real son and replaced him with him an exact copy. Someday he said he would return to his home planet, but he also said I shouldn't be sad because my real son now no longer feels pain.
So it's kind of a paranormal horror kind of thing, paranormal alien horror kind of thing. So it's just kind of fun. So I put up several of these things. I just found a Reddit thread about creepy things my kids say. and I was putting them up, and I'm trying to get my procedure down. So I actually created another world, the Black Cipher, right? Because I had on my list of things to do, to potentially do, was like, well, you know, it would be really neat to do a world. I was thinking actually for GURPS adventuring, in which all of the conspiracy theories and the paranormal stuff and the aliens and all of that were true. And so as I was trying to work on something to experiment with, I was like, oh, hey, let me use that. So if you want, come over here and check out the Black Cipher. Black Cipher YouTube channel. I'm going to do another round of these to experiment with and try to improve the technique even further. But then I'm going to start moving up. So I'm building these in the opposite way. So I'm going to start with the Black Cipher. Then I'm going to do some for the Unspeakable Cults. And I'll have a dedicated YouTube channel for the Unspeakable Cults as well. That'll be more traditional, well, not traditional Lovecraftian horror. That'll be Lovecraftian horror, the Cthulhu mythos, in kind of a fantasy or historical environment. So the Black Cipher, the Unspeakable Cults, and I'm going to do some for Theophany as well. So I've already got the Theophany channel, but there's nothing on it yet. Andrew, who you might see around, was like, okay, here's Theophany, but there's nothing on it yet. Well, there will be. Now I'm finally getting the ability to do it, but I got to perfect my technique for creating these shorts. So then I will do Theophany, and then I'll start putting shorts like that out on the Tales of Rabivania YouTube channel. I think I'm going to do that one last because I'm going to have to custom train, I think, models in order to get Rabivania to look right, to make sure that it understands how the armor is. But it looks like I've had good success. So of course, obviously coming up with creepy stuff for the Black Cipher. I was also experimenting with cults and Cthulhu stuff for the Unspeakable Cults. That was going well. And then I've also been able to generate imagery that looks fantastic for Theophany. It's Tales of Rabivania that it's having the most trouble getting. And it's just because it doesn't understand that style of armor. But finally, it was giving me good rabbits. So that's what I'm working on. So also to put out and world build and get these stories out in that direction. It seems pretty weird. I think what we'll do is we'll track how well these different worlds do, because I don't know which one's going to be most popular. I've been working on Rabivania for a while, but I wonder what people actually like most. Do they like the supernatural paranormal horror? Do they like the Cthulhu mythos historical kinds of stuff? Do they like the fall of Satan and angels, or do they like the Tales of Rabivania? So I think probably what we can do here on the Morning Grind sometime is track these things, because right now it's just all over the place. Like I put out one of these shorts 2 days ago. This one right here about my son wanted to cut his sister out of my stomach, which is pretty, well, gruesome. But that one right there went to 1,600 views in like an hour and a half. But then again, this one that I posted yesterday about the guy and his alien brother, that one only has 7 views. Oh, you can see it right here. So that one got, I got 12 views over here on this one. I got 1,600 views on that one. I got 7 views on that one. So who knows what type of, who knows what type of algorithm or whatever process YouTube is deciding to show people these shorts. We'll just have to see. But I figure that's the only way to counter that is to make a lot of them, to make different worlds. Let's start with some shorts, and then let's make a lot of shorts for each world once I get the procedure down. And then we'll just see which one people on YouTube like better, right? So you can vote on yours by subscribing to those channels, and we'll just see which I'll give you the other channel names as stuff comes up. The Black Cipher is the one that I'm still working on right now for experimentation purposes. But we'll just see. I think it'd be fun to track like what their watch numbers are, what their view numbers are, what their subscriber numbers are, and seeing what people actually like. So Zero Theory asked, how are you doing the voices? Those voices are AI generated as well. The voices are AI generated as well. I was going to start narrating some of them, and I specifically want to narrate some stuff for Theophany and Rabivania as well. I was thinking about being the primary narrator myself for the Tales of Rabivania. But in the interest of, let me just see how what a procedure would be for writing a script and then creating one of those shorts, I just went with the AI generated voices as well. James says, I'm pretty big into Christian mysticism and mythos. I'm excited for Theophany, assuming that you choose to share it. Oh, I'll definitely be sharing it. I will definitely be sharing it. I'm going to start writing its world primer soon. See, I don't know. My writing time is always precious. So right now, the writing time had gone into development of the Rabivania world primer, and then it was going into writing the script, because I want the scripts to be done too. I want the scripts to be done. But like I said, everything that I've got to do is sitting down trying to get writing done. Most everything I'm trying to create, man, it's a lot of writing. On top of things like video editing and things like that. So, all right. So that is what's going on. So we're trying to build these things in multiple ways. So that's the kind of look at what I'm doing with the shorts. We'll get to Rabivania with the shorts later, once I'm a little bit more advanced in the AI model building. All right. I'm taking a bit of a break on the productivity stuff today. I am still going to try to get as much work done as I can. But then tomorrow morning again, we will start another 72-hour productivity sprint. So if you want to plan out what you want to do over the next 72 hours, plan today, think about what you want to do. And then tomorrow morning, we will start trying to heed the call to adventure, getting up when we want to get up, working on what we want to get up and get done, and then also working as much as we can on the tasks that really matter over the next 72 hours. So we'll be doing that on the channel and in the Discord server on the productivity channel as well. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. I had a great time. I will see you live again tomorrow morning. And until then, grind on.